Hey everybody, it is John Edward. I'm here live on my Facebook pages and I'm joined by a special co-host, Agent Robert Hilland. You guys will know who he is very, very soon. I'm live over here as well on TikTok and we are talking about our new book. It's called Chasing Evil and it is coming out next week. I cannot believe that it's here. It's Chasing Evil. Shocking crime, supernatural forces, and an FBI agent's search for hope and justice. This has been 3 decades in the making, and we wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the book. We've been quiet for about 25 years, and now we are talking about our experiences together. So I'm going to be looking over here, I'll be looking over here, but important, I want to be able to answer your questions. And if you guys have questions about this, I want to hear your questions. I want to know what you're thinking, because we want to be prepared as we're doing interviews, which are going to be happening shortly. Some of which you'll be seeing. We're doing the Howie Mandel podcast. We did Hot Mics with Billy Bush. We did Heel Squad with Maria Menounos, and all the questions have been kind of amazing. Like it's just a really unique experience. So I'm going to be taking questions from both places. So if you're on Facebook and you're watching this, let us know where you're watching it from, and if you can hear us, that would be great. So JJ wants to know, so it's all true stories.
Every bit of it.
It's all true stories. Hello from Sydney. I'll be down there at the end of this year. Hello, New Mexico. You saw me in Albuquerque. Thank you so much. So the book is called Chasing Evil, and we wanted to let you guys know that we're doing something different than a book signing. We're going to be going to a few key cities between my schedule and Bob's schedule to get us in these places. A little bit of a coordinated effort, but it's happening next week. So we wanted to let you know that you could be first to know that this is happening next week. And we are going to be doing not just a book signing. We're going to be doing a question and answer segment. We're going to be talking about the cases up close. We're going to answer the questions that you guys may have. And then I'm going to do my thing a little bit. I'm going to answer your questions about my world. He'll answer the questions about his world. And then I'm going to do some readings. So if you guys are interested, we're going to be going to Chicago. We're going to be going to Denver. We're going to be in Virginia. We're going to be in Miami. And we're going to be in New Jersey. And we're going to be in Long Island. Those are the places that I'm hoping you guys will come out and participate and be a part of this. If you go to johnedward.net, that's my website. If you go to johnedward.net, it'll be able to tell you exactly where, how you can get the tickets, and questions. They're coming in. So let's answer some of the questions.
Let's get at them.
Okay. So V, I'm sorry. At this point, no California. Unfortunately, no California. Yes, New Jersey. We will be there in New Jersey. Bob will tell you the dates because I can't read.
Be in New Jersey on September 9th in Manasquan, New Jersey.
So Just Check 11 said, are we related because we look alike?
Wow. I don't know. Our fathers got around, so it could be.
We're not technically related, but we kind of feel related. We're sitting on purpose. Bob is like 7 feet tall. I am not 7 feet tall. Massachusetts, we're not going to Massachusetts. Here's where we are. We are going to Denver. We are going to Chicago. We are going to New Jersey. We're going to be in Long Island. We're going to be in Miami. And we're going to be in Richmond, Virginia. So if you are going to be anywhere near those cities, we'd love to see you. Lulu, you can do Jersey? Okay, we'll see you in Jersey. So I'm going to be Jasmine. We're going to be going to a book event sponsored by the Tattered Cover, I believe. Hey, Sonny from New York. No Texas on this leg. Thank you for doing this. Well, we want you guys to know about the book. So this is an interesting experience because Bob and I first met in 1998, and we're going to give you an abridged version of the meeting. He didn't believe in the subject matter, and he wanted to take this as an opportunity to expose me as a con, as a fraud, right? So if you guys know my origin story, you know that I went for a reading to expose the woman that was doing readings at my grandmother's house in the same way. So I kind of understood when it got revealed why he was there. But that one meeting, that connection sparked us working together, where he said, hey, like, do you do this work? Can you help me? And I said, no, I don't really do that. And he goes, well, can you try? So we did. And it's been a 3-decade journey, and we never really wanted to talk about it. We never really wanted to be public. I had very young kids, and I would say, don't use my name. Like, make sure my name's not anywhere. And the joke would be, I don't know.
Yeah, no problem. I want to keep my job.
So it was a match made in, FBI supernatural heaven.
Mm.
So I openly say I did not work for the FBI. I work for another 3-letter organization called the BOB, because his name is Bob. And this book is all true. This book was vetted by the FBI because it had to be before it was released. It didn't take a while.
9 months.
So 9 months later, and we weren't sure we were going to make our deadline, but we made our deadline. The book's coming out September 2nd. It's called Chasing Evil. It is told through his case files and his narrative. And if you like supernatural psychic stuff and you like true crime and you kind of put it together, you're going to get this book. And it's going to be a reflection of, how do you navigate bad stuff? How do you navigate the evil in the world? What do you do when you're facing adversity? All of that kind of becomes the reflection of what we're hoping that you guys get from reading this and being a part of it. Thank you to all the people that are watching from apparently Australia as well on my Facebook page.
Wow.
Yay. I look forward to seeing you guys in the fall. Tickets are on sale now for there. Melanie, you can't wait to get the book. Emma says it sounds interesting. Hello from Grants Pass, Oregon. So I want to thank you guys for being here. And we're kind of going, like, I'm looking both ways because I want to make sure that I'm acknowledging both places. Thank you guys for being here. And thank you for your questions. Harmony22 says, seeing you at your book signing in my hometown of Virginia. Wow. Can't wait.
Very cool.
So one of the things I want to be really clear, some of you guys will notice that in the comment sections, whenever I go live or a psychic goes live, there's always going to be the people that are trolling. I kind of like ignore that. Don't feed into that energy. So negativity likes to come up and bite you in the ass and ruin your day. Don't let it. There's always something negative that can get in your way. If you feed it, if you give it energy, it's only going to kind of do more of that. So we just kind of move that out of the way. Noel is from Alaska. Alaska's in the house. We got Wisconsin in the house.
Wow.
Julia, thank you for pre-ordering it. One of the things that, if you guys like this, I'm going to ask you a personal favor. If you guys could order it now before September 2nd, I am really, really trying to get this book to debut on the bestseller list. And here's the reason why. If it does, then it gets to the front of the store and makes it easier for people to actually find. There's so much distraction when you go into a bookstore or when you kind of, and there's a lot of stuff that's coming out and it's Labor Day, but I'm excited. So if you guys have questions, I'm going to turn some of those questions over to Mr. Robert Hilland. Thank you so much. I'll take one from TikTok first. They're still saying hello. Kansas City's in the house. Missouri, Philly in the house. Debbie wants to know what made Bob a believer.
It's a great question. Debbie, I went to John not really believing this was legitimate. Matter of fact, I had heard him on the radio when I was working in New York City, WPLJ back in 1998, and I kind of laughed. How could people be so foolish? I was aligned with all these skeptics who say this is a bunch of nonsense, and that's certainly where my mind was at the time. And I would honestly just shut the radio off, and I would hear him again in a week or two later. At the time, I had a lot of cases going on, probably 20 cases, give or take. And I had a particular case that was very old. It started in the 70s. And the previous investigators had exhausted all the leads in it. All avenues had been pursued. And then one day I had heard him yet again, and I called his office. I called John's office, spoke to his assistant, and said, hey, my name is Bob. I'm an FBI agent from New York, and I'm working a case involving a missing person. I heard you on the radio. I understand you can connect with the people who've crossed over by talking to the loved ones. I'd love to get with you, and I've got a case that maybe you can help me with. So that was the context in which I met him. About a week or two later, I got the call from his assistant saying, hey, can you come in tomorrow? And I certainly did. And I was asked to bring, can I go into detail on this?
Sure.
I was asked to bring, you're laughing, should I not?
No, you should totally. They're going to totally appreciate that part. Go ahead.
So I was asked to bring some belongings of this person we were looking for. And I did. I called the detective in New Jersey and I said, hey, I need you to get some things out of evidence that belonged to our victim. Her name was Fran, Betty Fran. But because I didn't believe John and I didn't want to waste certainly my time or his time, and if he was a fraud, I wanted to expose that right up. straight away. That day, before we went out to his place, I went to different women in my office and I collected 4 items from 4 different women, a necklace, a watch, things of that nature. And I put them in with the other items that belonged to our victim. And I went out to see John, and I'll vividly never forget what happened that day.
Don't leave out the Harry Potter part.
Yeah. So I'm in his he had a waiting room. His assistant said he's finishing with some clients. And again, I'm still thinking, what am I doing here? About to talk to this psychic. This is ridiculous. And 10 minutes later, the back door opened, and I saw this rather young couple walk out, husband and wife it looked like, and they had a young girl with them. The girl was probably 12 or 13 years old. And all 3 of them had been crying. And behind them walked John, a young John Edward. And immediately he struck me as Harry Potter with these glasses, is what he looked like. But when I saw the family and their emotion,
they've improved over the years, no?
And I saw their emotion. It actually bothered me. It actually further said to myself, I said to myself, this guy is really manipulating people and taking advantage of their grief. So to fast forward, the detective and I went into John's office. He asked if either of us had ever worked with a psychic. Of course, I said no, and he was very specific in what he said. He said, "Look, in a minute here when I get started, I'm going to start getting a lot of information. I don't want you to respond. I want you to sit here and listen to us. Listen to me silently, whatever comes through. You're going to recognize things. Don't give me feedback. Just sit there quietly. I may also say things that do not resonate with you, but it's important you write these things down." So I put these items across his desk. There were about 9 of them. There were 9. And he looked at them. He studied them for some time. And then kind of slowly, he pulled some items out and he kind of put them together and he pushed them aside. He says, "Look, I don't know what these things are, but they have nothing to do with the real reason you're here." And those were the items that I had brought with me from New York that had nothing to do with the case. So that immediately got my attention, Debbie, to your question, but that's not what made me a believer. All right, check in his favor. He then picked up a pair of eyeglasses that belonged to our victim, and he started providing information that was incredibly singular and specific to our case. He called the victim by name, described her in detail that was utterly impossible for him to have known. Described things like, hey, she has a metal pin or rod in her hip. Described attributes of her. Described how many children she had. Called her by her name. He said she has 2 names. It's like Barbara something, Betty Fran, but she goes by the middle name Fran. And he said she's been murdered, and the person responsible is either a boyfriend or a husband, and it's a J name, and I'm pretty sure it's John. So I'm sitting here befuddled in his office thinking, how is this possible? And as it progressed, the information just continued to flow. And from there, he provided more and more information relevant to the case, much of which we were familiar with. He specifically identified important pieces that you'll read about in the book that created opportunities. But the final piece, Debbie, to your question, at some point in that first meeting, I had arranged for him to get on the phone with our victim's daughter, as I had heard John on the radio. So in the course of this conversation, John starts doing what you've all seen him do for the past 25 years, and he's picking up on somebody. And he's describing this person, and the victim's daughter on the phone says, "Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know who you're talking about." And again, he describes this person in detail and describes it as a grandfather on her father's side. And again, she says no, and this is happening back and forth, and he won't let go, as you've all seen.
Hold on a second. Hey, Dr. Rubin, carry on.
Dr. Rubin, hello. But ultimately, at that moment, John's assistant won't let this thing go. He asked, "Do either of you have somebody like that I'm describing?" And the detective spoke up. The detective thought it belonged to him or his family, and I'm sitting there in silence just watching this. And then all of a sudden, John stopped and he pointed at me.
Hold that note. So for the people that are asking where you guys can get the book, you guys can get the book anywhere. You can go to wherever books are sold. You can go to Amazon. You can go to Barnes & Noble. But if you want a signed copy that we both signed, and for the folks that are in Australia that I know you guys are going to ask, so I made this possible, signedchasingevil.com. If you go to signedchasingevil.com, I have been told they will actually ship those books to Australia, but there is a very, very limited amount of books because time-wise, of us schedule-wise to get things together. There is an audiobook. We both read the audiobook, so you will hear us tell these stories. And I'm going to interrupt him again for 1 second. One of the things I want people to know is that when we look at skepticism, a lot of questions coming about skepticism. The two of us, from both of our fields and our angles of how we look at the world, come at it from a skeptical lens. It's how I read, and it's how he investigates. And all skepticism does is help you to look at life through a lens of seeking validation. Cynicism is a place that I implore all of you not to come from. If you come from a place of being cynical, then it means like no matter what you experience, you're saying it's not possible. And I'm not even going to address the people that are talking about, religion and God, because you can't understand where we're coming from a religious standpoint. This is energetic. I will always tell people, I feel like I'm painting a portrait of energy, and how a person frames that is completely up to them. But I want to also address where we're going again, because the questions are coming in. If we're doing book signings, so we're not doing book signings in the way a normal book signing happens. I wanted to do book events where the two of us show up and actually answer your questions for the people that are there. And then I'm going to do readings for the people that are there as well. So it's a combination, and you will get a signed copy of the book. Because of our schedule, because of my schedule, I'm heading down to Australia to tour Australia in October. There are a few events. If you go to what's right on the banner here, it says johnedward.net events. It'll tell you where we're going, but I'll just quickly say it. We're going to Denver. We're going to Chicago. We're going to be in Long Island, New Jersey, Richmond, Virginia, and Miami. Those are the places that we're going. Some of the events are almost sold out. Like the Long Island event only has like some tickets still available. They were allegedly going to add more. I don't know if that's possible, but that's there. But the other events just kind of got announced. We would like to see you guys there, because I would like you to hear this in person. If you guys on TikTok, I think you can just go to the Stand store in my bio, and in the bio, it'll tell you about the book. You can click on Chasing Evil. The book is called Chasing Evil. I'll pop it up there for you guys so you can actually see it. It is that right there, Chasing Evil, because the gentleman next to me has pretty much been doing that for his entire career. And not to give too much about the
best of foyer, how I met him, and it ended that day with me questioning a lot of my assumptions, still not understanding how all this worked or made sense, and it drove me to keep coming back and asking more questions. And that case led into the next one and the next one, and it led for 25 years. So that's how it came about.
I'm just blocking somebody that says I talk to demons.
It's my mother-in-law.
He's got jokes, guys. He's got jokes. I've always said that one of my favorite types of humor was nurse humor. I actually follow a lot of nurses that are on TikTok because I find their humor funny, because I worked in a hospital. It's a little bit dark, right? Guess what's one step beyond nurse humor? FBI agent humor. So there's not just one case in this book. There's how many, would you say, that we put in? Because there's some stuff. Why do you do that? Why don't you give them a little tidbit of something that's not in the book? Can we do that? I probably should have vetted that with you for a while.
Yeah, maybe we should talk about that first. But there's many cases. We highlighted some of the most notable cases, and many of these cases you are all going to be very familiar with, because they received national attention. In some cases, they were international cases. You'll be very familiar with a lot of these cases. You're going to be shocked. Oh my God, I didn't know these guys were involved in that.
Elaine, not that case. Elaine's asking about John Bonet. I don't think that's not a case. That's
not something. Not in this case.
Sam CD3 says, "Did you have to get permission from the FBI to work with me?"
The FBI never knew that I had a relationship with John. The FBI does not consult with psychics, and up until that point, neither did I. My relationship with John was clandestine. It was secret for 25 years, and that's how it went down. They know now.
Deborah case in Miami. We're going to be, did I say Coral Gables?
Coral Gables, yeah.
September 4th. That's when we will be there. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say all of healthcare humor, because I see the EMTs are weighing in. I see the social work humor. I see you guys. So overall, But as a phlebotomist, I interacted with the nurses the most. Donna Marie, thank you. Olivia's voice is mesmerizing. You know, it's amazing. No matter where I go, no matter what I do, I have now become Olivia's dad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And Howie, when we did Howie, right?
Same thing. It happened today. We're now a footnote to our children.
Thank you, Rachel.
That's how it's supposed to be, I think.
So if you guys are interested in the book events, you can go to johnedward.net. Catitude is saying animal control officer humor is pretty funny. I think that when we're dealing with real life, right? When you're faced with the reality of like the dark parts of humanity, our coping mechanism is to find humor in it. And some people might find that like, oh my God, that's so offensive. But it's how we cope, right? Somebody said hospice nurse humor. Absolutely. So Sherry wants to know which case was the hardest to solve.
Wow, that's a good question. Each case was unique, and they all presented unique challenges. So it's hard for me to say which case was the hardest. I mean, it would be easy for me to say the one that brought us together was the hardest, and I don't want to give away the book or the ending in the book. That certainly was a challenging case, but each of the cases in the book presented unique challenges of missing people, of terrorism cases, of espionage matters. Everything is covered here.
So Jonathan Namath is asking, how do you feel with this book going public? Excited, apprehensive, nervous?
You can take that one.
Okay, so not to take this dark, but the book opens with a very, very intense moment having to do with a missing child. And when the resolve of that story takes place, we have been working together for quite a while. And I'm going to say it was one of the first times that I felt, not as a friend, but I psychically felt, like energetically felt, that this gentleman sitting next to me, who tirelessly worked behind the scenes trying to help every unnamed victim that we would never know about, needed to be validated. So if you guys are familiar with my work, you know that every show that I did on Crossing Over ended with me saying, communicate, appreciate, and validate people. It's kind of how I live my life. It's a philosophy that I have. I think it's important for people to be validated, to feel validation. And I felt like he needed that. So there was a press conference that was happening. And I remember him like walking towards the press conference. And I said to him, Bob, we've never discussed this before, but if you feel like you need to use your voice, acknowledge your energy, how are you involved here? I'll support you. And at that moment, Bob was not ready. But I feel like that was the moment that the door opened. And then I think, again, I'm going to give you the behind the scenes. There's the stories that are in the book, and this is the kind of underlying energy, the river that was that was flowing beneath. And this man went through a huge transformation. And every reading that I've done in my career kind of adds to who I am. It adds to my understanding, my drive to want people to know that there's a survival of consciousness, right? I think every case he's worked on makes him want justice more. But part of wanting justice is also being the person that can be validated in that process. And not that it was like, oh, look at me, but more like, do I matter? Like, did I make a difference? So if you're watching this on TikTok, give me like thumbs up if you understand in your field, if you feel like you want that validation, just even an acknowledgement. And same thing on Facebook. Like if you guys in your field and your jobs like would like to get more of that validation. And if you've never gotten it, you've seen the like, right? If you've never gotten that, or you're in a field where it's not something that you would normally get, that's the energy that I kind of felt like was happening. So you can see a lot of people on TikTok are acknowledging the same thing on Facebook. When it came time for you to retire, that's when I actually saw the door open, like it really opened. And I think that was when you felt, okay, I think I can share this story. I think we had a conversation. You were like, I think this needs to be told.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I had written the first draft of the book probably 6-7 years ago,
like a journal, right? Like these
kind of a journal, and for no other reason, just I don't know, just to put it out there never thinking it was going to be published. And then as I wound down my FBI career before I moved on to my current job, John and I were talking, and we were reflecting over the years of the many cases we had worked. And it was at that point, through those conversations, we said, what if we shared with the world some of these things? Some good questions coming in.
I'm just putting the link into the, if I've heard that correctly,
signchasingevil.com.
So you guys asked for the link of where you can get the autograph copies. It's signchasingevil.com. I just popped that into the comments on Facebook. It is available on audiobook. We both do the reading, different kind of reading, but we do the reading. Sue Murray says she loves feeling and hearing about you and our connection. I can't read that. Okay, so some questions are coming in. Kristen's asking, apologies, but where can we purchase the book? Missed that. Kristen from Australia. Hello, Kristen from Australia. You can go to signchasingevil.com if you want an autograph copy. The link is in there. Michelle McCoon says this is interesting. Okay, so the thing about this psychic working with this gentleman is I solve nothing. I see a lot of people saying, how many cases did you solve? I solve nothing. Let me explain. In the same way, if you guys come to me and you're grieving, in the same way that you have questions about what's happening now in your life, I can't fix your grief. I can't instantaneously heal your grief. But my goal is to give you insights, information, bring through messages from the people of cross, show you that there's a survival of consciousness. And then what you guys do with that is on you. Like how you heal from that, that's, here you go. That's what I did with him. So he took the energetic insights, psychic things that came through, he applied that to his job and his work. So he's the person who did the solving. And talk a little bit about how you moved into being like a top polygraph expert teacher and how that comes into play.
I'll get to that, but I want to also touch on something you said. For me, and I see a lot of great questions coming in. It wasn't an overnight thing. And what with John and I, it wasn't like, hey, that one meeting for me, I was all in. It took some time. This relationship grew over time because I was constantly trying to figure out how was he doing this. I'm a man of logic and reason and evidence, and it didn't make sense how John could do this. But yet the information he provided me could not be denied, and if you follow John, which clearly you all do, the information he provides is specific. It wasn't these ambiguous things. They were very tangential, very specific things that served as opportunities for me to investigate further. And a lot of folks have asked, hey, how come law enforcement doesn't use psychics all the time? Well, let me be clear. There are many, many, many cases I've worked with John had nothing to do with. And why was that? Because there were leads, there was evidence, there were witnesses, there was physical evidence. That's how cases are made. But sometimes cases go cold for a reason, and that's because all avenues have been pursued, all avenues have been exhausted. So if I've done that, and I've got a friend like John who has the potential to maybe give me an insight, a thought, a symbol, an idea, why would I not leverage that? And that developed over time. And through that one case, he would start talking about other things and other cases and the next and the next. So that's kind of how we came together on that.
So there's a overarching story throughout the entirety of the book where we begin with, kind of like a serial killer, right?
Mm-hmm. One case, yeah.
And there's other kind of tentpole cases that go through. And then there's a journey of understanding that I kind of like reveal stuff and Bob has like a personal transformation. So we want all of this to be reflective for you guys. We want you to be able to see this as not just, oh, this is a great depiction of the psychic working with the FBI guy. It's more than that. It's much more.
Yeah, I think, and people have asked, are you nervous? I'm terrified. I'm terrified because my entire life has been behind the scenes, right? You've all known some of the cases, but you certainly have not known who I am. And I was very happy operating in that space, in that darkness. So for me, this is all new territory. The book, not only does it, does it not lay out these cases and our experiences, but it's a very personal, reflective journey for me in my life and the sacrifices that At the time when you're going through life, you don't really realize what you're dealing with. But then when you get to the other end of that and you look back, you say, wow, the sacrifices my family had to make for me being away from them, my children, my wife, all those things are reflected in the book. We in law enforcement, we get a bad rap, sometimes deserved and oftentimes not. And I think you're going to see, when you read this book and you listen to the audiobook, you're going to feel like you're a part of these cases, because you're going to be a part of the conversations that John and I actually had in some of these investigations. You're going to feel like you're part of the cases.
And one of the things that collectively, I'm going to say this for both of us, this has been an amazing journey. Bob did a lot of writing and a lot of journaling about these cases to have all these details. And in doing like these interviews and having conversations, it's kind of amazing. It's like they're all up here. He's got like his own kind of like Dropbox of the files, and like all this stuff comes out. But there's a special person that may be watching this, that on behalf of both of us, and that was the writer/editor that worked with us. And her name is Natasha Stoynoff. Mm-hmm. So a big shout out, gratitude and appreciation for making this an effortless experience, tapping into both of our voices and helping us to kind of structure and tell the story in the way that it needed to be. And it's very compelling. And so many people are like, when is it going to be a movie? When is it going to be a movie?
I was blown away by Howie Mandel today. He just went on and on about it.
So you guys can watch that next week. So I see folks are asking again, you must be just coming on, where we're going to be going live. If you look up on the screen, it says for book event tickets, you can go to johnedward.net at the event section. We're going to be in Denver, Chicago, Long Island, New Jersey, Richmond, Virginia, and Miami. Right now, those are the only places that we're going to be going together at this moment. I am heading down to Australia to be on tour there for the rest of the year. So I will see you guys there. A lot of people asking, are we going to sell the books at my events? That's a no. We're not going to be selling the books at my event. So if you're coming to one of my events, that's not going to be something you're going to be able to do. So here's what I'm going to suggest. If you want an autographed copy, you can go to signedchasingevil.com. If you're in the United States, you got it there. If you're outside of the United States, they will ship. Folks are asking about Australia, so signedchasingevil.com. You can go there. And the difference between the events that we're doing and a regular book signing, I don't like book signings. But let me explain to you why I don't like book signings. People do what's called the slide and drag if I just do a book signing, which is they get the book, they walk up to the counter, the book is open for them, and then they slide it across in the hopes that I'm going to get a message for them. And then I sign the book, and then when they're ushered off of the table, because it's a book signing, not a place where I'm doing readings, the level of disappointment is a little bit hard to feel, person after person. So over the years of doing this, I was like, don't want to do that. So that's why I'm doing a book event, where if somebody's going to get a message, then they're going to be in the room. I'm going to pass that message on. So that's the reason why it's not just a book signing. Bob will not be doing readings. He may be profiling you in the audience. That might be a fun thing to watch you do. But that's just want to be clear. So thank you to everybody who's pre-ordering it on Audible, and thank you to everybody that's actually putting their orders in. Thank you. That is me just being very appreciative. And same thing on TikTok. You guys I appreciate that. We look like twins. It's so funny. If we stand up, we will no longer look like twins. Actually, that's not true. If we stand up, we may look more like twins. The Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito part of it. Denver is, when is Denver? Denver is September 12th. So Thursday, September 4th is Florida. Friday, September 5th is Ashland, Virginia.
Outside of Richmond.
Right outside of Richmond. Tuesday, September 9th is New Jersey. What part?
Manasquan, New Jersey.
Wednesday, September 10th is Melville, Long Island, my area. Thursday, September 11th is Chicago, and Friday, September 12th is Denver. If you go to johnedward.net/events, you can get the information. You can click right there to get tickets. Again, for the autographed copies that I'm seeing in the questions, that's signedchasingevil.com. And if you are on TikTok, just go to my bio and you can hit the link in my bio, the Stan Store, and that will give you information about the book and everything that's there. Okay, more questions. David Robinson got his tickets for Denver. Woo! Thank you. Irma says we don't look like twins, but we kind of look alike.
Okay.
I see a lot of people that are asking me to come to specific areas for events. There are in 2026 already laid out for the first 4 months. There's a ton of actual events that are taking place. So when you go to johnedward.net, if you want to see me live, you can do that there as well. I see the question a couple times, so let me address it. What's the difference between a regular admission ticket and a VIP ticket? A general admission ticket is just that. It's a ticket to the event, which is about 2 hours. Then there's a VIP ticket. The VIP ticket gives you the general admission, so you get the regular event. You get the after event, which is a VIP Q&A right after. Then you get a virtual event, which is about 2 hours as well. And then you get a 3-month membership to Evolve Plus, which is my platform. So that's what comes with a VIP ticket. They actually go really, really quick. So if you're interested in that for 2026, you can do that. But tonight we're talking about chasing evil. Like, that's why we're here. It is the reveal that I've been working with this gentleman sitting next to me who was a retired FBI agent of 30 years. And 25 of those years, I helped him on his cases. I was kind of like providing him with insights on cases. And it became an exercise for both of us, because that's not work that I did before. Matter of fact, for those of you who know my origin story, you know my dad was a New York City police officer. He actually did not like the fact that I did this work. And part of him letting me know that was, oh, by the way, don't ever let me find out that you worked with the police. That was a thing that was kind of like built in. So I really never did. There have been moments where I've gotten pulled into circumstances and situations through readings, but I can't really say that it was something that I had a drive to do, or quite honestly, still do. It was this connection. And I think that we meet people in our lives that spark a connection that opens a door and becomes a catalyst for change. And for me, it was an education into my world. And I think clearly when you read the book, you'll see that for him. So somebody says, can I book a one-on-one reading with you in Australia? So all the readings and stuff that I do, you can go to johnedward.net and learn about that, or you can go to the evolveplusTV.com platform and you'll be blown away by what's there, I promise. Mr. In Between wants to know, why did my dad not want me working with the police? My dad was a career police officer and a career military guy and wanted me to have respect for the uniform. He didn't believe in this subject matter, so therefore it wasn't something he wanted me to be associated with. Patty said she must have a lot of great and sad stories. Looking forward to the book. Thanks for all you both do. Thanks, Patty. Sue Murray saying, great work together. The two of you are putting into the world love. I appreciate your comments. Thank you. Dana, you're asking, I was late. What is the book is called Chasing Evil. Would like to see if Library for the Blind has it on audiobook. I can tell you that it is going to be released on audiobook because we both read it. Diane Roberts wants to know, how many cases did we kind of like work on that got resolved?
Well, we intentionally picked the more significant cases that the public would recognize, but there were certainly many, many cases beyond the book that John was a part of. And there were many cases, of course, more so that I don't want to say I didn't need John, but there were avenues for me to explore the investigations without his help. My investigations never started with John.
Somebody's here on TikTok saying, do I ever see a comment and feel the need to like say something to them? I do, but it's not in the way that you're actually wondering. You're wondering from a psychic standpoint. For me, it's more from a human standpoint, where I'd be like, do people like actually read what they write before they write it? But somebody just said, hey, Carolyn, I bought the book but can't get it until January. Does the ebook come with a hard copy? I don't think I can wait until January. I think that might be, I know she travels, she's on a boat. She like lives on a boat, so she's an Evolve member.
If you got a waterproof copy.
You may want to do the audiobook, Carolyn. This is a great question, Meg.
Yeah.
You can take that one.
Is there enough material for a second book? The reality is we had a hard time with this book because each one of the cases could have been its own book. So you're gonna see not only are you going to be feel like you're part of the case, but you're going to want more of each of the cases. So
Ooh, I have an idea. Okay, so we have a lot of interest in this book because of the concept. So we have interest for people that, production companies that are courting us to do a documentary. And then we have production companies that want to turn this into like either a TV series or a movie. We're trying to figure out what people may want. Can you guys give us, what would you want to see? Would you rather see this as a movie or a documentary? Like a TV series or like a documentary? We're kind of curious. Documentary, TV series, documentary, TV series, documentary.
It's a 50-50 split.
Sue Murray said do all of the above. Documentary, TV series. Interesting. The people on TikTok are thinking more like TV series, I would estimate.
I think it's split. Now you're contaminating the pool. No, it's a split.
See, he's working. I'm contaminating the pool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. Interesting. I like the feedback. Okay, so I'm going to pop it up so you guys can see it again. So I know this is what it looks like. Well, that's what we look like as well. But Chasing Evil is the title of the book that we're talking about. I'm popping an image. That's happening right now. I'm showing people the actual cover. On TikTok, I just showed it and turned it around.
You can pop the questions up here so I can see them. And this one.
On this?
This one.
You want to see those questions?
This one.
Oh, sorry. There you go.
Thank you.
If any popping out at you, just tell me.
Oh, the yogurt shop murder case. I know this case. Yeah, it's a very sad case.
You didn't come to it, right?
I did not. No, this is they're asking us to look into other cases. Yeah, I'm familiar with that case. There's a lot of, unfortunately, there's a lot of unsolved cases, and those cold cases are cold for a reason. It's not because the investigators dropped the ball. That's for sure.
Thanks, Nicole. I can't wait. Listen, when you've been doing something for a really, really long time and you're on purpose being very clandestine and you don't want anybody to know, and now this is going out into the world and we're doing this as an exercise to prepare ourselves for the reality that it's going out there, it's a little bit feeling like a free fall.
Absolutely.
So I trust in the universe that this is the right time. He's trusting in me trusting the universe that this is the right time. But I'm really excited to see what the reaction is, because I gave some advanced manuscripts to like, what are they called? They're not corrected, the proofs, whatever, the galleys. The ARC copies to a few people, and it was an unexpected reaction. Like, it was a very, very different reaction. Like, the first person that read this was Sandra.
Oh, that's right. Before, yeah.
Sandra read this before everybody, and was like, how much of this was like made up? I'm like, none of it. And she's like, I know, like, you worked with Bob, and I know it all happened. She said, but like, for storytelling purposes, like, did you punch up the story to make it more exciting? I said, no. I go, Bob is the one with all the details. I go, but hold on. So then I call Bob, and I put him on speakerphone, and I said, Bob, how much of this book is made up? And he's like, quiet. He's like, John, you were there. Like, none of it. Like, what are you asking me that for? Oh, that's not for me. I go, you're on speakerphone. I go, that's for Sandra. And I should have FaceTimed Bob so that he could have seen Sandra's expression, because she doesn't get, like, she's so used to this. She's been around this for 30 years. Like, she's nonplussed about a lot of stuff. This book, she was so excited.
I think it's also important to know that I didn't write this book to convince anybody of anything. The objective isn't for the reader to now become a fan of John Edward. That's not the intention at all. The things that are in the book are things that happened. There were plenty of times when I went to John on something, he would say, "Yeah, Bob, I got nothing on it." Or I would come to him on a case where there were no leads, and he would talk about another case. Or sometimes, and you'll see in the book, we could be out having dinner one night.
That's Albany, right?
It was Albany. And we could be sitting there having dinner, and he would make some bizarre comment like, "Hey, you're about to do something." I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah, I would know if I'm doing that." And the following week, I'd be thrust in the middle of some hurricane of a storm that I never saw coming.
You want to take that one?
Should I take that one?
Yeah, you read it.
I can read it. It says, "John Edward, will you work with the FBI law enforcement again if approached?" You should probably answer that, not me.
So here's the oh, that popped up. Sorry.
Oh, who's that other one?
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wonder what years Bob worked for the FBI from 97 to 22. My uncle was an agent in New York City for 6 years, then moved to Charlotte. He is retired and a polygraph expert. Who's your uncle? This is Melanie Lowe.
But while Melanie's answering, I'm going to tell you that I really don't have an interest in working with law enforcement. It's not my desire. It's not my draw. It's not my purpose. But if this gentleman comes to me with a case, then I will absolutely help him. And there's a story in the book where I was doing an event, and something public had happened in the area that I was in. And a police officer stood up in front of the audience and basically kind of put me on the spot and said, "Will you help?" There was not wiggle room to say no. And I kind of felt like I could try, And then when I spoke to the police officer after the event, the police officer was very sincere and said, "Please." And I was like, "Yes. However, I don't want to talk to you." And they looked at me like, "What?" I was like, "Just bear with me." I go, "For some reason, this all works for me through somebody that I work with." So I revealed to the police officer that I had a connection to him. And in that case, Bob became my medium. It was like the only time I brought you, right? The only time I brought you on something, besides when I had like wacko crazy people that were trying to do negative and bad things, that Bob had to step in and stop.
Yeah, that happened occasionally.
So yeah, that would be my answer. Like if there was something. So this isn't like the reveal of our story and now we're going out to do a series on television where we're going to be solving crimes. It's not where I'm supposed to be. My job is to teach and to do what I do. This was just something that I stretched to be able to be a part of.
Yeah, Melanie, I know of your uncle Randy Walker. I know of his name. I don't know him personally. He may know of me. I think I came in a little bit after him, but I am familiar with his name.
I'm going to answer
Please.
in the comments. Somebody asked again for the website. It is signed chasingevil.com. I popped it in the chat again.
So yeah.
One of the things I'm going to tell you is that I may have been brothers with him in a past life. Yes, that's very, very true. Hello from West Virginia. Okay, so one of the things that I'm looking at parallels because we're live on TikTok on my phone and we're live on Facebook over here, and I'm finding it interesting. Sometimes you guys are mirroring each other, and it's not unnatural. If I do a Zoom group or I'm doing something virtual on Evolve Plus, you'll see parallels that will come up. But it's kind of interesting, the timing. It comes out on September 2nd. Debbie says, "John, I would love for you to read me, but I'm scared. Will I cry? Bob, did you get emotional?" So I think that when people think about going for a reading, I'm going to answer this based in 2025. Nobody should be scared to be read. People should only go for a reading when they feel like they're ready. What does that mean? If you think a reading is going to fix you, you're not ready. If you have to only hear from one specific person, you're not ready. If you can go for the experience, be open to the process, allow whomever to come through, which may not be the person that you want to hear from, but it can show you that there's a survival of consciousness, then you might be more ready. If you think a reading is necessary or needed to fix you, I'm going to say you need to be working with a grief counselor or a therapist more than a medium. Should you cry? No. Will you cry? Maybe, but you also may laugh. When you think about a reunion, it's not always an emotional reunion. It's a happy time. It's a happy connection. And people will reflect on positive things, not just the negative. They are okay. We are not. And our job is to work on being as okay as we possibly can. They don't miss us because they're still with us. They still feel actively connected to us. So when we think about what's happening now in the world of mediumship, right? 25 years ago when Crossing Over was on the air, there was no Facebook, there was no TikTok, there was no Instagram, there was no YouTube. And right now, anybody can literally create a profile, call themselves a psychic medium, and just give philosophy and make it sound like a reading. So going back to the first case that Bob brought to me was a missing woman. He brought items that belonged to the woman who was missing. And one of the things that I like to do in a reading, if I'm sitting in front of somebody, is something called psychometry. And psychometry is where you're holding on to something that belongs to a person, a ring, a watch, something that's of their person, their clothing. And you can read the energy of that person accurately. No different than if Bob showed you a family photo of everybody that's living and said, how do you feel about this? You would be able to get a feeling about that because you can see, you can feel, you can imagine what's happening. You could see the backdrop. So that's what can happen when you're doing a reading for someone. If you're holding psychometry wise, you're holding onto an object. Never give a medium an object that belongs to the person if you want to connect with them. So just be careful with what's out there when you go there. And let me just also say, like, a reading should never be performed. So if you're watching somebody perform a reading, no, think about a medium as being a surgeon. You want them to be precise. You want them to be specific. You want to make sure that they are giving you insights and information that's going to be accurate. And by the way, it should be void of their emotion. I should not be emotional while I'm reading you. I should not have any feeling. I should just be giving you, the mailman should not be reading your mail. It should just be delivering it. Would you say the same thing for your job? Like when it comes to your case, like when you're doing casework?
What do you mean?
Like not get emotional? Like,
yeah, I think that if I got emotionally attached to my cases, I'm probably in the wrong career path, right? This topic comes up all the time, and I see many of your questions, which are good. How do you deal with it? You know, if you can't handle it, you probably are not in the right space. I have to remain objective and clear-headed when I work any investigation. Otherwise, I won't be effective to you or your family members, right? So I have to come in a clinical way. So that's how you deal with it. It doesn't mean that the cases aren't sad. It doesn't mean that when you're dealing with a missing child, it doesn't impact you. It certainly does. There's a human element to all of these cases. Doesn't mean you don't have empathy or compassion. I mean, for me, the most important thing was to care about what you were doing, and I certainly did that.
Hey, Dory, I already addressed this earlier. We gave a shout out to our editor and writer, Natasha Stoyanov. Thanks, Holly. Appreciate that. Carteret. I'm going to be in Carteret. I'm going to be in Carteret in October. Not to be confused with Bob and I on September 9th when we're doing a book event together.
October 10th.
So just to
Or 17th.
Just to tie back together what I was talking about, if anybody's watching this work, if you're watching other mediums, and you should, right? Because we want to always explore the process. If you're watching other mediums, you want to be looking for information and validation. And I'm actually going to ask you to answer the next part. What would you, in your objective opinion, right? You coming to me for the first time, knowing the type of people that want to be read, who want that reading.
Yeah.
What would you counsel them? What would you say to them? How should they approach the subject matter?
I think you have to be open and objective, right? If you come in with a cognitive bias that you think you're looking for a specific thing, you're going to leave disappointed. And I've learned through these 25 years that things happen the way they're supposed to, and it always does. As hard as you may work a case, sometimes you can't control the outcome. Just like when I would go to John and the things that I expected or thought would come through, in certain cases didn't. Or I would go to him and say, yeah, I'm not getting anything on this. And what do you mean you're not getting anything on this? That doesn't make sense. But yet something else would happen. And when I look back over all those years, it all makes sense. And you're going to see in this book how it all, in the end, comes together.
And it's got to be about information. Every single medium knows why you're sitting in front of them. We don't know the who you want to hear from, and we don't know how they got there, but we know why you're there. You want to know that your loved ones and friends are okay, that they're with you, that they see what's happening in your life still, that they are aware of your choices, actions, and deeds, that they're not judging you, they're not mad, disappointed, or angry. And we also know that they're going to communicate with you in patterns of energy. They're going to come through to you in precise ways that you're going to identify. You're going to see butterflies and dragonflies and hearts and 1111. These are all real things. By the way, I'm not taking away from anybody's experiences, but we as mediums know that. So,
well, we as mediums, I'm not a medium. That's just so.
Me in this live as medium knows that. The other people that are on here that I know are mediums are at home nodding, going, yes, yes, more, say that again. We got to go beyond that, right? So if you're seeing people being very bedazzled in their personality, and they are just emotional and celebrating, and let me just say this, in 40 years, this is my 40th year doing this, in 40 years, no energy or spirit in the afterlife ever said, John, I need you to tell Bob I'm buried over here. John, I just need you to know. Nobody does that. They just don't do that. So when you see performative mediumship, turn it off, call it out. It's not what we want people to be seeing. It's not cool. So he's a just the facts guy. I am definitely just the facts guy. I think that's why it kind of works. And these facts came together in a book called Chasing Evil.
Yeah, and I like to add, I think if it were not for the circumstance by which I met John, if one of my colleagues came to me and said, hey, Bob, I got this friend of mine who's a psychic, I would have said, you out of your mind? What are you doing? What are you talking about? I think it's because of the unique way in which we came together and how that first case led to the next and the next. Why I can now, after 25 years, come out and tell you that these things are what they are. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and represent things that didn't happen. All these things in the book took place. There was no elaboration. And some of them were very, very minor things John said that didn't make sense to me at the time. And later on, they would be very significant in some of these cases.
So Kat on TikTok, not Kat that we know, but Kat on TikTok said that I have a very narrow view of mediumship.
You have a narrow view of mediumship?
Apparently.
Okay.
Well, guess what? That narrow view of mediumship has worked for a lot of people. And I know that when people make comments like that, it's because I'm touching a nerve, which either means somebody that they know, an experience that they had. And this is just my process. I want everybody to know this is not me picking on other mediums. I just want to protect people, right? So the way that I
you're very protective of what you do. You're very,
I
mean, one thing that I admire is you have a great deal of integrity when it comes to what you do, and you're protective of it. And I understand that.
But I also know that people read with different styles. And what I do want to make clear is that I was told many years ago, shout out to Robert Brown over in the UK, back in 1996, you're not for everyone. And I'm not. And I understand that. And what that means is that the universe will send me the people that need that type of reading. But what I want is for everybody to be protected, because we're living at a time. If you go onto any of my platforms, right, and you start talking about your I want you to talk to my whomever, I promise you there's going to be some cloned copycat account who's then going to go and DM you. And by the way, no legitimate medium is going to DM you. We're busy. We're not going to DM you. Spirit is not going to move us to send you a DM to say, I've got a message for you. And also understand the cadence of how the person is speaking. Are they using English as grammar, or is it something that sounds like pseudo-English? So just be careful. This is me I don't want to insult anybody. I don't want to pick on anybody. I don't want to sound mean. I want to sound protective. And I'm also 40 years doing this. I'm sad at sometimes what I see people Except that's just a me thing. Oh my God, Katie, I love that. Katie said, "I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I'd rather be a shot of bourbon to a few."
Wow.
Wow. Ooh, might be my favorite question tonight. Esther, go ahead. How much of your own intuition, Bob, do you rely on to work on cases? And has it enhanced being around John?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's come up in some of the interviews we've done here in the past couple of weeks. I think it's fair to say that any investigator who's been doing this job for a while, you start developing that sense for cases, right? There's, you always follow the evidence, but then sometimes you get these weird instincts, feelings, gut checks, whatever they are. To your question, though, in the beginning, when I first met John as a young guy, the world was very black and white to me. And then as you get older, you realize, as we all do, the world isn't as simple as black and white. There's always gray area. And I think for me, after that first case, which bled into the subsequent cases, there were times where John would tell me something that was very odd to me, like, hey, you're going to be doing this, and look for a soccer ball, look for something. There's going to be meaning for that. And what does that mean? He goes, I don't know. This is just what I'm getting. There's going to be significance when you see this thing. And lo and behold, sometime in the future, I'm pursuing a certain case, and all of a sudden this thing would appear. And logically, I would want to say, yeah, that's just a coincidence. And then all of a sudden, the way the case unfolds, that thing I saw was incredibly relevant to the outcome of that case. So over time, I guess I started to trust those signs and not question them so much, and found better context and meaning for them. I guess to better trust in these signs and instincts. So I don't know if I answered that, but
I'm going to tell you guys, when you read Chasing Evil, just have in the back of your mind that question. When you read Chasing Evil, just remember the question that just came up.
Yeah.
Because there's a really, really, really cool moment. It's so had nothing to do with me, but getting the phone call from him going, "Is this possible? Like, did this just happen?"
Yeah.
Awesome moment. Just awesome moment. Cindy, I just want to say thank you for that. I appreciate your words. That's it. I'm not even going to read it out loud. If you're on the live, you can read what I just popped up on Facebook. If you're not meant to see it, but I want to say thank you. This is also really important. So the question is from Anne, and she says, do victims care about having their cases solved, or is it more about their family members having peace? I have never had, outside of Bob now, I'm going to put Bob on the side, I've never had somebody come through with the narrative that their family has to get their killer, or their family has to bring something to justice. It's never happened. Has never happened where there was this urgency that they had to X, Y, and Z. There has been information, there's been facts, there has been evidence, there has been validation that will come through to give them an understanding of what happened, to provide them with some level of closure, but not like go do the big fight. Matter of fact, one of the messages that I was given over the years is that the judicial system of our world pales in comparison to the judicial system of the universe, I guess karma. And I was like, wow, that's a pretty bold statement, but I don't know if I'd want to hear that if I'm one of my clients, right? But from the bigger universal professional standpoint, that is how they've come through. Now, they collectively have also come through to support their loved ones and friends as they're navigating this journey of loss in the way that that person has passed. So do they care? They care about the family. They don't care so much about the ego side of their earthly experience because they know what happened. They understand the why it happened. And not only do they understand the why, they can see the projection of what's coming as a result for all parties concerned.
Well, let me comment on that, because I think there were certain experiences we had over the years, and I'm not going to be specific because some of it's in the book, but let's say you and I were talking about a case where there were multiple victims by the same person. There were times when you had a sense of urgency with me, and you said, "Hey,
yeah, for the case,
for the case,
not for the person,
not for the person," but there was a sense of urgency that if we don't disrupt this, it's going to continue, right?
That one.
Well, that's one, but I was thinking about others, but right. Yeah, but it's again, we don't want to spoil the book, but I think you all would very much be interested in some of these cases.
Yeah, and I'm not just like teasing the book. The reason why we're not wanting to spoil stuff is everything's braided together in a specific.
It's threaded.
Yeah, it's specific, so that as you guys are listening or reading, you're kind of with us as we're going through it. So it's like if there's like 10 episodes, hypothetically, of a documentary called Chasing Evil, putting it out there. We don't want to give you episode 4 before you watch episode 2 because you wouldn't understand that. And episode 1 ties into episode 9. So that's the reason why we're not revealing really. But to Bob's point, there have been moments where there was a sense of urgency for the solving of the case, but not because the energy and spirit was like now. But it might feel that way.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm going to just go again with your questions. How do I get tickets in Denver? How do I get tickets? Okay, if you are on here and you go and look at the screen, it says for book event tickets, go to johnedward.net. If you're on TikTok and you want to know how, just go to the bio in my stand store and you can click there. It'll take you right to johnedward.net. If you guys want signed copies, I will suggest that you go to signedchasingevil.com. If you're out of the country, they will ship to you. We are not touring Canada. I will be in Canada next year doing events. I am not doing any book events with Bob as of right now. But you guys are going to go pre-order this book right now, right? It's going to be a huge success. It's going to become a big bestseller. And then we might have the opportunity because the booksellers will go, wait, people want to see this. And so it's like a whole domino thing. I want you to know that we're going to Denver, Chicago, Long Island, New Jersey, Richmond, Virginia, and Miami.
Yep.
Those are the places as of right now. There are limited tickets. They are not book signings. I want to say this again. They're not book signings. They're book events. So you will get a copy of the book signed. You will get us in person. He will answer questions. I will answer questions. And I will be doing readings in those specific areas. So we hope to have you come be there. I'm answering all the questions that I'm seeing there.
A lot of people wanting to go certain places. Wow.
So a lot of the places that you guys are asking me to go and do events and appear, go check out johnedward.net where I'm sending you. Go to the event section and you'll see in 2026, there's like 4 months of events that are being planned out. And Canada is going to be part of that. And to answer the other question, there's 2 different types of tickets. There's general admission, you get the event. And then there's the VIP ticket. You get the event, you get a VIP after event, you get a online virtual event that's also 2 hours long that you watch from your house like you're doing this right now. And then you get a 3-month membership to an online platform called evolveplusTV.com. That's the difference. I see all your crossing over questions. I'm sorry. I'm trying to make this specific to why we're on here tonight. Has a perpetrator come through and apologized for their actions? Not apologize. Can't use the word apologize, but they've come through, and I'm talking outside of Bob. I'm talking about like clients. I've had some doozies. I'm going to say it like this. They come through with an energy of deep understanding, which I think is better than apology, because an apology, somebody can go, oh, I'm sorry, my bad. Like that could be like an apology. It's way deeper than that. And for the folks that are over here that are talking about Australia, yep, on TikTok, I will see you down under at the end of this year, starting at the end of October through November, December. A lot of people are asking about that specific case that's popular on Netflix that we talked about earlier today.
Which one?
I don't know.
Oh, the woman in the cruise ship, that one?
I guess.
Amy something or other?
Yeah.
What about it?
We're not involved with any of that.
No.
And it's very funny. 2 separate people have asked us, and I was like, I'm not being pulled to that. And then somebody asked him in front of me, and he was like, no, I'm not being pulled to that.
Amy Bradley, that's right.
Nancy, you want to know if I feel this as an energy? I do feel as an energy. what did I say? TikTok. Wait, TikTok talking Tina. Well, that's a handle. My close friend was called out by you years ago and was very skeptical, but you knew everything. Oh, but I knew everything. I hope I called him out in a nice way. When am I going to be in Denver? We're going to be in Denver. When are we in Denver?
The 12th.
September 12th.
Friday.
Wendy, we are not blood brothers, but after 3 decades of working together, we're energetic brothers. I did.
What's the matter?
I said it. She said you did. TikTok talking Tina.
Oh.
That's a mouthful. We're not doing it. We're not doing any book events in Texas. Well, 3 decades we start looking alike. Yeah. Nothing Shauna in Oregon. Yep, there is an audiobook. And it's really, really interesting because today, one of the other mediums, Jonathan Lewis, is listening to the audiobook.
And he is?
Yes, he is.
Wow.
And he's digging it. He hasn't gotten to his part yet, but
oh wow, pretty cool.
So cat's out of the bag on that one because I just said that. For those of you who know Jonathan Lewis, he is also in this book. Not going to tell you how. Not going to tell you how he gets pulled in, but he's in there as well. I want to say thank you to everybody who's invited me to come to all these different places. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I don't even know where that place is. Ooh, I like this one. And you got some really good questions. Did Bob get any flack from the agency after revealing that he worked with you?
Yeah, the FBI never knew that I was working with John. It was a secret relationship for many, many years. There were times, which you're going to read about in this book, where there were unique cases where things unfolded in the presence of some of my colleagues. And they would say, wait, Bob, how did you know to look there? How did you know this thing? And they were some of my close circle of friends. So there were agents who became aware of my relationship with John, and they were actually interviewed for this book. Their stories are represented here. There are more than a handful of them that didn't know, but for the most part, big FBI didn't know. And again, for the record, I wasn't doing anything that was unethical or illegal. But the FBI, we don't consult with psychics per se, right? So, but I could not deny the value that John brought to many of these cases.
Okay, so a couple of questions. Does anyone know if they both will be signing them? Yes, we both will be signing them at the events that we talked about. So you can go to johnedward.net events for that.
Yeah, I've got carpal tunnel from all the books we've sold so far.
Also going to tell you that the signed Chasing Evil copies, we both also signed. And I'm going to tell you, they will ship outside of the country. Sign Chasing Evil.
Are you asking me or telling me?
No, I'm saying it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I think if you guys missed this, if you're coming in late, you can go back. I think I hit some of the stuff that I want you guys to know about. The book comes out September 2nd. I'm going to pop it up for you guys to see the cover so you know what it looks like. There it is. Shocking crimes, supernatural forces, and an FBI agent's search for hope and justice, chasing evil, 3 decades of us working together, and a transformational journey that I think when you guys read this book or listen to it, I think you're going to, I hope you guys are going to be able to reflect on what is the evil you're chasing in your own life and how can you transform that? What is it that you may see as a reflection in these stories and be able to maybe kind of take away what my journey was on a personal level, what Bob's journey is. So this is just us kind of coming in to let you guys know September 2nd is when it's coming out. And then next week we're hitting the ground literally doing these book events. And you can go to johnedward.net to be able to do that. I'm going to say thank you for you guys being here. I do like to end all my events in one specific way, and that is what we do on evolveplusTV.com. If you want to know more about that, you can just go check that out at evolveplusTV.com. I'd like you guys to put some positive in the world. And the way that you put the positive in the world here is I want you to blow up the chats with hearts on both sides. So if you guys can do this on TikTok, that would be great. And if you guys can do it over here on Facebook, just blow it up with hearts. And it's just a way of us kind of putting out positive. We live in a world of symbolism. I work with symbolism. And it's just kind of nice to have positive vibes and be there. As always, please take the opportunity, guys, to communicate, appreciate, and validate your loved ones and friends that are in your life now, because tomorrow's never promised, and we want to make sure we don't miss our opportunities to say the things that we need to say. I look forward to seeing you down under if you're here. I look forward to seeing you next year in 2026. But I really look forward to see you at the book events that are taking place, because the two of us are going to be in the same room. Have a great night, guys. And if you're watching this on the replay, please share it with your friends if you think they might find this interesting as well. Thanks, guys.